What's up, you freaky folks? My name is Nick, and welcome to my channel, where I cover all things horror. Whatever you're watching, I'm making videos about. And I'm glad I'm talking to the right people, because you guys seem to be totally on board with Tubi, which is my new go-to streaming service. If anyone hasn't checked out Tubi already, it is a free, ad-supported streaming service, and they have a ton of my favorites. I can't wait to share my list of monthly recommendations with you guys, so let's get into it. Number 10 is Bound, the feature directorial debut of the Wachowskis. It's a crime thriller about a mafioso's girlfriend who begins an affair with everyone's favorite stripper, Crystal Connors, and the two plan to steal $2 million from the mob in order to start a new life, but the boyfriend isn't planning on letting them get away that easy. This is one of the first mainstream LGBTQ-friendly films that really broke out in the 90s, and I'm so glad that it did, but it's also just a really well-done, character-driven thriller.
I want what's mine, I want half the money.
For each other.
Number 9 is Mind Games, a cabin in the woods horror about a group of people who stay at a house in the middle of nowhere and things get freaky when they discover something strange in a nearby mine. Listen, I have to admit, this is a low-budget, independent film that does play into formula, so I have a feeling it won't be for everyone. Many of you will think this is a terrible movie, but I have to say, I think it does have more to offer than you might expect, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say it is more of a sci-fi film, if you catch my drift. If anyone has seen Mind Games, let me know. What did you think of it? Number 8 is Borgman, another one that I am sure few of you will like, but all of you should see. It's a horror drama about a disheveled man who invades the lives of an upper-class family in their sleek, modern home. This movie is hard to describe and even harder to sell to you. It's a slow, uncomfortable watch as this guy takes over these people's lives, yet I also find it to be very captivating. The best way that I can describe it for me personally is that it feels more like a fable than a film, but capturing that on film is everything to me. Again, maybe it won't work for many of you, but I have to recommend it.
Zou ik hier misschien even een bad kunnen nemen?
Dat klinkt helemaal niet goed. Goedemiddag.
Ik ken uw vrouw.
Wie is dat?
Goedemiddag. Ik kom me aanbieden als tuinman.
Komt u binnen.
Number 7 is The Void, a cosmic sci-fi horror about the staff at a rural hospital who are under attack from a group of hooded cult members after a mysterious drifter arrives. This is also available on SHUDDER if you want to watch it ad-free, and I did a whole SHUDDER review on it a few months back in case you want to know how I really feel about it. Number 6 is Shrooms, a slasher in the woods about a group of young people who are vacationing in Ireland where they plan to indulge in psilocybin mushrooms. Unfortunately for them, their hallucinogenic trip conjures up greater horrors than they were prepared for. This movie is quite standard, and I don't love the reveal at the end, but I remember it being kind of a big deal for a minute when I was a teenager because it was the horror film about magic mushrooms, and I don't expect all of my recommendations to work for everyone. Hell, I throw out a lot of movies that I barely like, but I figure this is definitely worth a watch, even if it's just to check it off the list.
Taking those pills.
Number 5 is One Missed Call, a J-horror flick from director Takashi Miike. It's about a group of people who begin receiving mysterious voicemail messages that foretell their future demises. Our heroine sets out to find what is behind the calls before she becomes the next victim. The remake might be one of the worst supernatural thrillers of all time, but this original is so worth a watch. Don't blame me when you find yourself creeped out being home alone after watching it. Number 4 is The Call, a different kind of thriller about phone calls. Halle Berry stars as an emergency services operator who gets a call from a teen girl who has been kidnapped and is being held captive in the trunk of a car. Our protagonist must use every skill in her arsenal in order to help guide the victim to safety. I know a lot of you are looking at this and immediately going, not for me. I know it might seem like it has those made-for-TV movie vibes, but I would argue there is a reveal towards the end that is so get under your skin creepy, you have to see it.
Can you tell if you're on a freeway or
Surface Street.
freeway? Okay, kick the tail lights out.
I did it. Good work.
Number 3 is Suspiria, the horror classic from giallo master Dario Argento. In it, an American ballet student travels to an academy in Germany where a series of brutal slayings lead to a shocking discovery. I know at this point it is customary to spoil the ending, and a lot of people lead with the reveal that's really what the movie is about, but just in case anyone hasn't seen Suspiria yet, I'll let you discover it all on your own. It isn't a personal favorite of mine, but I can totally understand why a lot of people consider this one of the best horror films of all time, especially because it has probably the most brutal and intense opening sequence of any horror film.
It's useless to try and explain it to you. You wouldn't understand. It all seems so absurd.
Number 2 is Vanilla Sky, Cameron Crowe's remake of Alejandro Amenabar's Open Your Eyes, because I can't pronounce the original Spanish title, but in it, Tom Cruise stars as an arrogant playboy who is disfigured in an accident and comes to terms with the facts of life. Open Your Eyes is also fantastic, but I really enjoy Vanilla Sky on its own merits. The acting is great, the story is original, and it happens to be uplifting while dealing with some pretty messed up material.
We've got a situation here.
What is this? I didn't do this. You've been charged with murder. Boo. There's no murder.
Number 1 is Blood Rage, because I had to. It's the 80s Thanksgiving slasher that you might not know you need in your life. Two twins are involved in a murder as kids, but the wrong one is sent to an institution. Years later, he breaks out just in time for the bad twin to go on a murder spree during Thanksgiving break in their suburban community. This movie is the 80s cheese to the max. It is basically a comedy with gore, but you know how us horror fans are. We can't get enough of that holiday horror, and we have like no Thanksgiving horror films, so I can't help but put it at number 1.
It's not cranberry sauce, Artie. It's not cranberry sauce.
And now it's time for my favorite part, my bad movie recommendation of the month. And I just made it clear that I love 80s slashers. And yeah, I managed to find one that's even worse than Blood Rage. Oh, you just wait. Berserker is about a group of blonde people who go camping when they find themselves viciously murdered one by something in the woods. I can barely talk about this movie without laughing because you are meant to believe that a bear is doing the murdering throughout the film, and I really don't want to spoil it, so I would say try and go in as blind as possible, but prepare for it to get ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. It is hilarious, and that's why it needs to be seen. That is my list of the best movies to watch on Tubi in the month of November. Thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. I'm so sorry I missed last month's Tubi video. That one just got away from me, but you know what? There are so many good movies on Tubi, especially a ton of fun horror ones, so I'm gonna have tons of recommendations coming your way, so make sure you're subscribed, hit that bell so you don't miss any creepy content. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, feel free to comment, like, share, all that fun stuff. That's it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another.